If you were asked to work with a high school to assist them in transition program improvement, what approach would you suggest?
The work that I've been doing for the last 9-10 years has revolved around what is called the Transition Outcomes Project, or TOPS. And that's one approach in going in and working with districts to work on showing improvement, making improvement around the transition requirements and transition service areas. The first step in making improvements, I think, is that you have to know where you're currently functioning. It's kind of like a kid on an IEP. Before we can write an annual goal that will lead to improvement, you first need to know where the kid's currently functioning. Same thing, I think, in school systems. If we're going to show improvement on meeting the transition requirements, you have to know where they're currently functioning. And that's where the development of this transition requirements checklist came from, and my sitting down and putting together a series of questions that we train people on regarding each of the requirements, and then train the people on how to review the IEPs or a sample of IEPs from their system so that they get an accurate picture of what am I currently doing and how are we currently doing regarding each of the requirements. Whether that's inviting students or measurable post-secondary goals or coordinated set of activities or invitation of outside agencies or whatever it might be. So once you have a clear picture of what you're currently doing, the next step in the process to help schools make improvement is to take this information back to the staff. That means all special education teachers in the building from where we pulled the files, to share with them the information, the data that was gotten through the self-assessment. Part of the idea behind that is that I believe that if you're going to see change happen in schools, the people have to make the change have to own the problem. Meaning that if we share the data with them, here's how you're currently doing on measurable post-secondary goals, and if you're not at 100% on that, let's say you're at 70% or whatever it is, here's where you're currently at on writing measurable post-secondary goals. As a staff, the question is, are you happy with that? If you're happy, I'm happy. If you're not happy, then what do you want it to be? If the staff sets a goal at anything other than where they're currently at, then they own the problem. It's not me, it's not the State Department, it's not the monitors, it's not the administration, they own it. And then the question is, okay, what are you going to do to improve that? And I think part of what the training that we've done through the TOPS project is explaining to people what this requirement is, what does it say, what does it mean, and then providing them concrete examples on how to do that. So part of it is that once you understand the requirement, I think most people know how to solve that problem. So if the problem in writing measurable post-secondary goals, let's say we do this self-assessment, we find out that 70% of the time it's there, 90% of the time we have a goal, but the goal isn't written so it's measurable. We find that out through the data, self-assessment. So then it's a matter of, okay, what's it going to take in order for you to write a measurable post-secondary goal, so then we can put into place a plan, an action plan for that particular district, and providing staff development to train teachers on how to write a goal so it is measurable, so that it does meet the requirements. So part of it is understanding where am I currently at, having the data that shows where I'm at, getting the people that need to be involved in the process, getting them to own the problem, own the solution, develop an action plan on how they're going to resolve that, let them do the work to solve that problem, resolve it, and then come back at some future point in time and take a look again to see how well they've done so that they can see improvement over time. Pretty simple, actually.